Hello everyone and welcome to SunWatch Indian Village and Archaeological Park. My name's Eric and I'm the site archaeologist here at SunWatch. SunWatch was built approximately 800 years ago by a group of people archaeologists called the Fort Ancient Culture. Behind me you can see 3 reconstructed houses. Prehistorically there would have been over 20 buildings in the village behind us. Fort Ancient people were some of prehistoric Ohio's earliest agriculturalists, and they grew corn, squash, and beans in huge quantities to support a village of over 200 people. This is the SunWatch Dugout Canoe. Dugout canoes were essential for late prehistoric people because they lived along the riverways, and the rivers were their prehistoric highway system. They would travel to find and forage materials that were seasonal and to trade with other tribes in the area. Dugout canoes were made by harvesting a large tree, and this would have been very difficult using stone tools that they had available. One of the ways they might have felled a large tree would have been to start fires around the bases of that tree and slowly burn the base and turn it into charcoal, chipping away with their stone tools until eventually it would fall over. This took a huge amount of time and resources and shows us that the Fort Ancient people couldn't just go outside and make a new canoe in a day. They were something that had to be planned long ahead of time, and there would have been a stockpile of canoes here along the front of the river. Dugout canoes like this were made in a similar way to felling the tree. They would have built small fires across the split log and allowed those fires to turn the top of the log into charcoal. Using stone axes and stone adze like this, they would have slowly chipped away the burnt material and then built fires again and again and again. So not only did it take weeks to fell the tree, it also took hundreds of hours to produce the canoe. Dugout canoes were worth the effort invested in them because they allowed the Fort Ancient people to haul large amounts of resources and move huge amounts of people or trade goods at one time. Historic Native Americans had other canoe types made out of birch bark and hide, and we can assume that the Fort Ancient people had these same canoes, but they didn't preserve. Archaeologists find dugout canoes buried along the riverbanks in Ohio all the way to Florida, and no one's quite sure why. One reason dugout canoes might have been buried along the riverbanks was to help survive the winters. Sealed in ash and underground, they would have been accessible next spring when they could be used again. Another theory is that dugout canoes are much too large and heavy to pick up out of the river and carry to another river. So rather than try to make that portage, they might have buried their canoe and recovered another at the end of their portage. There were no canoes recovered at SunWatch, but there are some examples from Ohio and other areas of the world that suggest to us that these were essential for people to survive during the Fort Ancient period. Thank you all so much for joining me here for a tour of SunWatch. We hope you enjoyed learning about our local history here in Dayton, Ohio.